So let's welcome Apoorv Sood, the head global GTM at Smallest.ai, to please join us on stage. And let's also have Ashutosh Singh, founder and CEO of Revrag AI, joined by our proud moderator Manvisha, head of brand HomeLane, the creative powerhouse from HomeLane. And together they will decode how voice AI is changing the customer experience to workflows and even sales itself, from call centers to conversations that convert, because tomorrow's businesses won't type and they will talk. So let's welcome all the three of them with a big, big round of applause. Audience, come on, put your hands together. Over to the moderator, and a very, very warm welcome to all of you.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Apoorv. Thank you, Ashutosh, for being here today.
Thanks.
Nice, glad to be here.
I think today we're just going to try and simplify voice AI for our audience, explain everything that you know to us like we're five, and that's how we'll go. Just to start with, why do you think today voice AI has taken so much speed, and what is possible today that was not possible 3 years ago, and why is it? Cheaper infra, better tech, better adoption, what is it?
Hi everyone, this side Ashutosh. I'm founder and CEO at Revrag AI. We build in-app AI agents for BFSI sector, majorly onboarding customers and deploying AI agent inside the mobile app. Right? Talking about your question, Manvi, I think there are two eras now, right? There is pre-GPT era and then post-GPT era, right? Pre-GPT era, we had a lot of chatbots, NLP bots that were trained and not very much human-like of sort, right? We have seen how ChatGPT is reacting, right? These are LLM models which understands text as of now and reply back in text as well. Slowly and gradually, we got two major technologies, which I think Smallest is already having, and Apoorv can add more there. So there is TTS and STT as well. So basically text to speech and speech to text. So if I, let's say, debunk it for a 5-year-old, right, it would be something like, if you are speaking to me, first I will convert that speech into text, right, and then I feed it inside the LLM, which understands text, and then post that, it will reply back with a certain outcome or whatever you have asked the question for, right, and then that question will be converted into speech. So again, text to speech, right? So earlier what was happening was that the chained approach was not feasible overall, right? It was majorly, there were lags, there were latency problems. It was not as human as it could be, right? There are few startups that were trying from I think more than 5 to 6 years, something like a deep gram sort of STT models, right? So I think these are the companies that were trying, but when LLM came, the ChatGPT came, it made a lot of sense for these companies to ride on the wave and start building voice AI. So it is a greater unlock that has happened with the transformers, the LLMs that has been there, right? Yeah.
Hi everybody, my name is Apoorv. I represent Smallest.ai. We're a voice AI company. We're building the infra for you to be able to support voice agents. And we'll deep dive into what we do essentially. But I think I'll talk about like AI. AI has been there for a really long time. A lot of people don't know AI's foundational things happened in 1960s and 70s and sorts, right? So I think what I'll talk about is that what's really led to the revolution and then the voice. I think what's led to the revolution is that I think the cost of data processing has really come down, and it's quite affordable to actually do it at scale at a consumer level. That's point number one. Second, what's happened also is that, the hardware that supports it, the talent, the ecosystem, a lot of other things have come together. So we are at that sweet spot where AI is, in my opinion, for consumers. Like AI for B2B has been there for a while in various parts and places, but AI for consumers is very true. Now, coming to voice, I think one of the most used or maybe overused senses is actually your sense of speaking and sense of hearing, and hence brings in that voice is one of the most critical things that we use in our day-to-day lives to converse and communicate. Hence, I think voice AI is extremely important, and hence we feel what we're doing collectively will actually change the way world communicates, and will obviously improve the experience of how today probably businesses interact with consumers, or consumers interact with different products and systems and technology in general. I hope I was able to answer that for you.
Yes. Just picking up from where you stopped, tell us what are the industries. So Smallest.ai is mostly going for their GTM in the US. Tell us what are the industries that you're seeing that are adopting this first, and what it's like.
So just to throw some stats, I think globally voice is sort of consumed. So the biggest industry that consumes voice today largely is financial services. Globally dictates almost as 30-40% of the overall voice conversations. And then there is retail, CPG, e-commerce. I think these are the two sort of large industries that are already, and when I mean voice, just to simplify, today when you pick up a phone, you probably call a service center or a contact center for your queries, issues, or you need help with a financial product, or you need help with servicing your washing machine or anything. So all of this is a part, or maybe there's a delivery that got sort of delayed, which is on Swiggy or Amazon or any of those sort of things, and you're trying to communicate and figure out. So the voice pretty much in these industries is a lot more used than others.
Yeah. Is it any different for India, or what's the trend in India?
No, I think I would agree on Apoorv's point. So there was a recent report by Mary Meeker, and she pointed out very avidly that there are BFSI, as in banking, financial services, and insurance industry is the highest adopter of AI, and then healthcare and CPG as well, right? And there are examples as well, like Bank of America launched it when we were just playing around with ChatGPT. It is a voice-enabled agent which is sitting on the app of Bank of America and guiding the customer, solving queries, solving issues, right? So I think that is the major industry that is seeing the highest adoption. And then there are two things there, adoption. So there are early believers, and then there are early basically adopters, and then post that there is like who is actually deploying it as well, right? Because there has been a lot of pilots in place, and these pilots are now converting into meaningful deployments as well now.
Got it. Tell us where you've seen businesses actually make revenue or save money from using voice agents.
So right, when we started, we were actually wondering where to start from, right? So before this, we were building a fintech platform. We were building recurring deposit backed credit card. So we ourselves was a fintech, right? And slowly and gradually, we had our problems there and ran into GTM problem and multiple others problems. So we pivoted to Revrag AI, right? While we were pivoting, we had a chat with almost like 50 to 100 BFSI folks, different enterprises as well, right? And when we were going to them, we were always sure that we want to go on the revenue angle instead of a cost angle, right? So any technology that picks up is looked at from the lens of, is it going to add any revenue to us, right? So when we started from sales agent, right? We were building AI SDR, which is a sales development representative, right? But slowly and gradually we understood that it is like we were not able to show ROI there, and if we would have continued, there was a lot of churn, right? But slowly and gradually we found our place, which was the middle of the funnel, right? It's onboarding overall. And related there, we were able to understand, okay, we are able to show ROI. And we have to understand as early adopters of AI and as enthusiasts of AI that AI is not a silver bullet, right? It cannot solve everything for you. So where do you use it properly so that you are able to show ROI? So we used it in onboarding for these players, and we were able to show uptick in the conversion, reducing the drop-offs of the funnel, bringing back the users, right? So all of these matrix we were able to solve, and our first pilot that we did was with a NBFC, large NBFC, and we were able to reduce the drop-off from 6% to 22%, right? Sorry, I think I
The other
quoted
way
it
around,
wrong.
22%
so
to 6%.
document collection was 6%, and then we improved it to like 22%, right? And slowly and gradually we realized, okay, we were only doing it with calling AI agents, meaning the agents use telephony, call the customer, ask them to come back to the platform and then complete the overall journey there. Then we realized, okay, not just calling agent, it is making sense to go deeper and sit in the app and then guide. I think Apoorv can add more there.
Sure. So I just want to quickly check with the audience, right? Just one piece. That how many of you sort of have engaged with a customer care or a contact center? Just raise of hands. Any? I'm sure all of you have, but just want to see. Okay. And how many of you have enjoyed that experience? Oh wow, we have at least 2 or 3 people, right? That's the problem. So this is what it is, right? We dread, like for example, today, the way businesses sort of, and 2 sides to any business, right? Whether it be financial services or anybody else. One is the profit and one is the cost. And profit is largely sales, and cost is generally support. So my answer comes from there, that the customer service centers are extreme cost to businesses, and they have very low NPSs, and everybody hates them. Whether you call for a recharge or your bills, whether you call for your gas bills, whether you call for electronics or servicing, or you call for financial services, no one enjoys this experience, right? And that's where I think with coming in of voice agents and the technology, where rather than, like I sometimes feel that and without naming the bank, I call a banking, one of my banking service lines, and it still says dial 1 for Hindi and 2 for English or whatever, right? And I feel like I'm living in 1947, right? Technology has moved way ahead. So, our sort of larger goal and where we think is that how can we improve this experience, right? All the way starting from your banks or your real estate kind of servicing pieces to your apps to your website, and how do we integrate this whole piece? So one aspect is that voice plays a big role in reducing the cost that some of these businesses incur, and obviously along with that can actually improve a lot of experience at scale for some of you guys who didn't raise hands. And the second piece, which is I agree is quite trickier, right? The sales bit, right? So there are a couple of things, right? One is that how do you handle this experience, right? Where do you draw the line, right? Do you want random inbound calls coming to you, and then do you really want to have that, and where do you draw the line? I think that's one conversation. The other piece is also in terms of it's also trickier to sort of, sell something to someone, and takes a lot more than than a sort of a call center experience. But to be able to sell something to someone, to be able to negotiate, to be able to offer the right information, to be able to actually get into a call at a wrong time, and how do I handle aggression, happiness, or somebody getting annoyed to you and all of that. So I think these are the two places where largely agents are being used. But I think it starts from contact center experiences, and obviously unless you hit the place of profit, I think businesses don't invest in technology, hence obviously trickier, but you have to get into the sales side of the ecosystem as well.
Sure, thank you. But that also brings me to what is the end user feeling when they, so there are all kinds of users that are very tech savvy, users that are very brick and mortar, not very tech savvy, but there are many users that will realize that it's an AI call, and I've noticed that they do, like some of them get put off when they realize that it's not even a real person solving the problem that they have. How have you tackled that? What have you seen the reaction of the end user is like?
So the way I see that is, obviously there's mixed baggage of people. There are people who like it and people who don't. That's point number one. That's a fact to stay. Also, people are still getting to trust the technology. It takes time to sort of, voice AI has largely seen a scale up in last 2 to 3 years, not beyond that. So people are still getting to trust the technology. I think another angle to this is that, think of this, right? So I've not yet gotten to the vernacular side of things. There's a lot to do on the vernacular side and so on and so forth as well. And also one more angle is that, do people realize whether there's a voice agent on the other side? Because the voice AI space is still growing and it's also in the research stage. So the experiences are day to day getting better. So yes, you can make out in places where there is that, the voice agent is talking to you, and it will get better with time. But I'm seeing actually more and more adoption, because at the end of the day, if we end up improving the customer experience, right, as I said, imagine not having to wait on a call center and getting your queries solved very quickly, right? So it all depends on what is the end impact we're trying to do, and how can we make it sound more human and seamless. I think that's a tougher one to crack. But as and when organizations in India, abroad, multiple countries are trying to do this, I think people are actually accepting it more. There are two quick use cases I want to highlight. So there are, without naming companies again, but we've been able to actually see that for a cement company, metric tons of cements being sort of booked on with a voice AI conversation by agents and wholesalers. And I feel that's pretty tricky, because they're not really used to all of this, right? They're used to picking up and calling like a salesperson that they're used to. They're not even there'll probably be WhatsApp and there'll not be other things. So it's a big thing for them. Second place, we also, ran a few sort of loan collection agents, and let's say, collection minus 30 kind of scenarios. And, there were people who shared that, my shop is not doing too well, or my orders haven't been good this month, so I don't have the money. And the agent is like, but what then? Hey, I understand, but what can you actually pay? And this is happening like in a Hindi as a language, or shifting between Hindi and English and some of those sort of things. So I think things are only getting better, but I would say there's still mixed bag of people. There are people who are adopters, there are people who are okay with it, and there are people who feel unsafe around it. So I think it's our job as companies to actually educate and maybe improve the ROI or the experience, so that people can trust. And ethics and voice and AI are actually very big topics in itself. I don't want to dwell on them today, but yeah, that's one point as well.
So just to add on Apoorv's point, so there is infra layer to it, right? So infra layer is getting better overall, right? The TTAs, STT, LLMs, and then it is a chained approach today, but there are LLMs which are coming like speech to speech. It might increase the human-like tendency, right? And at the same time decrease the latency and overall, right? So humans talk in a latency of close to like a 300 to 500 seconds. If it is sub 500 milliseconds, it will be like a human-like conversation. But then there are two aspects as well, right? It's an infra and then use case level as well. So I would say in some cases, people enjoy talking to AI agents. I'll just say few areas, right? So there are companions.
Have you seen an example?
So there are companies which are coming, which are like AI companion companies, right? And it is voice-based AI companions. It is video-based AI companions, right? What I have seen is in collections, people are very comfortable in talking to an AI agent because they are able to tell their side of story that, okay, I don't have money today, but I'll give you the money. So we all don't want to share our financial status to anyone over call, right? We're not that comfortable. So their AI agents are doing much better. And there are other nuances to other use cases and nuances as well. It can be, let's say, a nurse where I am basically comfortable in sharing my details. It's an AI agent which I can go and talk to whenever I want. Then let's say there is a guy who is present helping me to get onboarded because I don't understand how KYC actually was. I'm dumb there, right? And there are people which are N2C, meaning new to credit, new to banking, new to healthcare, new to insurance, right? So I think there they can open themselves and start sharing conversation. And we have experimented when you tell that I am an AI agent and I am talking on behalf of this brand, there is higher adoption in some cases. And in tier 3 and beyond, they are not able to understand that it's an AI agent, right? They are talking to. And we have seen that happening over and over. But people like us who are very deeply ingrained through AI conversations, they are able to understand and go about it.
And just to sort of add, right, I feel the larger problem about pushback on AI is largely from people who are more educated, because their awareness quotient is higher and they're more concerned about privacy, data, security, and like, who am I talking to, why am I getting called from this number, and so on. So I completely concur on what he's saying, right? Is the tier 1 and the tier 2 who are a little more aware as compared to a tier 3 and lower.
Fair. What are some challenges that you faced while building this out in India? Like with accents, are there any specific challenges that you see for building AI voice agents out in India?
I think the first and foremost challenge is the vernacular problem, right? I think it's the biggest problem, and we all are together trying to solve it because we are into AI and it's our job to basically solve that problem. But AI needs a lot of context, right? And it's like there are cultural nuances to it as well, right? So let's say if I'm talking in Kannada, then I have to take care of those cultural nuances while talking to that customer, right? I have to make him understand. I have to use hello word in their language. I have to use numbers in their language. I have to explain complex calculations into their language. So there is language nuances plus the accent as well. So I'll tell you, I'm from Lucknow, right? If you start traveling from Lucknow to, let's say, Gorakhpur, right? It's a 500 or like 400 to 500 kilometers from there, right? Every 100 kilometer, there is an accent change, right? And believe me, you'll not be able to understand the accent. And if, let's say, you start walking from Delhi to Haryana, right? There are massive accent changes. So we have, while running evals, right, a lot of conversations that we hear, we are not able to figure out what that guy is trying to say. But sometimes AI surprises you. Sometimes the AI is able to pick those nuances as well, which we as human cannot pick, right? So I think sometimes it surprises, but at the same time there are nuances of cultural vernacularity, latency, which I think we are pretty much there. And I would say context overall, because see, an agent can take close to like a 12,000, ideally it is like 2,000 tokens, which is a good prompt or master prompt that you can basically have. but if you try increasing it, it starts hallucinating. So language switch is also very important key piece, right? So if I am talking in Hindi, but I want to talk to you in Kannada, or if my agent is like 12 plus languages, how do I switch quickly from one language to other language? And if I want to onboard a customer and have larger workflow to run for that customer, you have to switch agents for multiple. I think that combination, that network or mesh of agent is something that is still, I think, to be deployed on larger enterprises.
What do you think is going to change in the next 2-3 years that will make this a default for most companies with customer support, with calling, say, SDRs?
I think I'll just give you another angle to this. So, there was a time when an email was priced at like double-digit rupees. And today, email is sold at a paisa or lesser sometimes, as an outcome, and there is text and the costs have gone down, right? So I feel that the way it is going to happen is that obviously voice is going to become agentic voice is going to become a lot more human. And what I mean is, like he rightly said, I'm not going to dwell on it, but probably language, accents, latency, context, emotion, pauses, all of that. Whatever makes like a human conversation, the quality of the agent is going to go very, very high up, and that's obviously on all of us to make it happen. The second thing that will happen is that with that, to be able to do this at scale, for example, can today as an infrastructure company, I handle like 100 or 1,000 calls a minute and some of those sort of things, right? Inbound or outbound, and to be able to do that. So that obviously, and with stability and a good experience for everybody, right? Because experience is not just about the customer, which is the end consumer, but also about the brand who's using the agent, right? Their name is on that door, right? It's their brand value, it's their experience, it's their customer. So it has to be handled stable. So while improving the scale and stability and improving the quality of voice, I think the price has to stabilize and marginalize. I think that's the real game, and that will be the biggest game changer. That will lead to the maximization of adoption of sorts, right? That will actually commoditize. So in next 3 to 5 years, I sort of see voice agents being commoditized across sort of the globe, not just in India. And it's sort of working in tangent, at least for the near future, with your sales, your contact centers, and a couple of other places of sorts. That's what I feel is the biggest change and what everybody needs to work towards.
So I think I second on each of the point. One thing that I want to pick from there is that I think price. We saw what Jio did to data, right? So I think somebody is going to come who is going to so today pricing for voice bots is on minute basis, right? It costs a good bot close to like 3 rupees to 4 rupees, which is a market segment which is going on today, but it should come down to like paisas, right? 10 paisas, 20 paisas, or ideally it should go to like cheaper than the data, kind of. I would like to see that happening, right? The second bit that I am very bullish on is, and Gangu on, is basically apps becoming the agents. So right today, I cannot order an Uber by just talking to the app, right? But I am damn sure that Uber is somewhere working on it, right? And even Zomato has launched its MCP, so people are picking it up and you can now order your food by voice agents, right? So I think in-app agents, overall, I am a big believer there. In-app agents are going to be a hit in next year. And then AI companionship overall, we will start seeing a lot of AI companions coming from all the angles. Every enterprise will have its own AI companion. You are going to go and talk to your companions, start sharing your problems. They'll help you from left, right, center, right? Last bit that I think is, I'm hugely betting on is also speech-to-speech LLMs. I think that is going to bring the cost way down.
We're doing beta already, so yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
No, absolutely. I think that is a bet. I think I hope that because we have a lot of language context in India, right? So I would love to see companies like Smallest, Sarvam, and others building it from India for the world. I think that would be amazing to see. I think, yeah, these are my
Vernacular
top
is a
thoughts.
big play, I agree. Like vernacular overall, not just in India, but how do we, like today, I think English sums up the largest element globally. And then if you look at vernacular, whether it be Spanish, Mandarin, the top 5-10 languages globally, hardly any impression of voice in some of these places. So vernacular is a big play. That is the only way to integrate voice with average people globally as a population, not like a option for few.
Sure, thank you. Very enlightening. Just as closing thoughts, there are a lot of enterprises that are piloting voice AI. They're learning how to like integrate it within their orgs. What are some things, or maybe like the top 2 things that they should keep in mind while doing these integrations? How do they do it right and get the most out of it?
I think I'll just go
So
from. Yeah.
I didn't get the question. Sorry.
Sorry. So essentially, enterprises are now adopting voice AI and they're piloting it. They're doing it for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. And what are the things that they should do? The 1 or 2 things that they should absolutely do to get the most out of the pilot and ensure that this gets well integrated into their system?
I think there is one role that is quickly coming up. We were also talking about it, right? So forward deployed engineers, right? So I think FDE overall is a very important factor, and companies like us are making sure that whenever there is a deployment that is happening on an enterprise level, there are metrics to be tracked by them, and similarly us. We are going deeper and deeper into problem statement, understanding those problem statement, debunking those problem statement, and then providing solution and then implementing it overall, right? So earlier what used to happen is that you were seeing these things from a point solution perspective, right? CS, customer success, sales, product, tech. Now there is a role which is forward deployed engineer which sums it all up. But from the perspective of enterprise, right? Whenever they are implementing AI, they have to understand 2 things. AI is not a silver bullet. It will solve specific problems and it has limitations to the technology, right? So you have to understand those limitations. Second, whenever you are going for a particular use case, you have to go from a perspective of ROI. What are those metrics that this startup, this provider, this vendor is going to solve for me?
So just double clicking on what he said, and I completely agree. I think, first of all, voice agents don't need to be overhyped. They need to be seen as a channel. And then you have to decide whether this channel sort of works for you or not. There can be businesses, products, industries where at the moment you don't see readiness and it's okay to stay back. So don't do things out of FOMO. And when you do that, I think it's very important to, when you're deploying AI, voice AI, I think it should start from small experiments. You should take very calculated, keeping time, cost, opportunity, cost, people in mind. I would also spend some time sort of getting the right people on the skills side in my team and in my company to be able to deal with AI, or maybe get other people to upskill. And only when you have a sort of, like a small ecosystem of 1 or 2 people at least, being able to do this as a problem statement, go in and do this. And most times people make mistakes because they don't exactly go into the depth of what they want and why they are doing things, and hence the outcomes are deviated. And then like it's also about the fact that you end up wasting time and money both. So I think all of this, in my opinion, is very critical. And the last point would be not everybody needs to do the same thing that others are doing, and not everybody needs to build things in-house. I think this is another piece that I feel that there are so many very cool, very early stage to late stage voice companies coming in. Even before you build something in-house or you choose to do or not do, maybe try and experiment and play around and scale it from there. Pick a use case, deliver on it, and then see the ROI and learn from it, and I think reiterate on it, right? It's hard to fix AI problems, including voice, in one go. It takes a bit of iteration and learning. And the last element would be data. I think context and data are critical. Most people make errors at the start, which is not having the right kind of context and data. And then everything that is outcome obviously is garbage. So garbage in, garbage out.
On that note, thank you so much for being a lovely audience. Thank you for the session today, Apoorv, Ashutosh. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. I request all of you to kindly stay glued. We have a token of appreciation to our moderator and the panelists. So quickly, let's have the goodies and let's have Diya from the team to kindly walk up and to give away.
Someone has a question.
Questions? Okay, we can take 1-2 questions. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. The gentleman on the left, right there, he's been...
Hi. Great fan of your work. My name is Kiran Kumar Sudarshan. I am here, I'm founder of bharataivyapari.com, and we build N8N workflow solutions for businesses, wherein we have been using some of your competitors like Vapi, then we switched to retail, and then we found your platform. Your API is really good. Latency, yes, we are working on it, but that's because you've got international servers. So my question is the challenge with the context. So one of the problems that I faced while using this solution was when we were building a companion app called Decode Self, which is being used to find the root cause analysis of a trauma. So while I was building this, the problem with the chat that was going on, because it converts speech into text, and that text continues the context, and when the context of 200,000 K tokens is full, it summarizes the context and minimizes it. And there it loses everything like bhoola, that Johnny Lever. So that's what had been a big challenge. When can we see voice models from India that has bigger context awareness, like what Whisper has come up with, open source model? Can we see that coming from India, from team like yours?
I'm assuming this for me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, super. So yeah, good question, I think. And I would just add to you, and congratulations on what you're building, by the way.
Thank
nice
you
to
so
hear
much.
that. Two aspects. One is obviously context, and second is emotion as well. I think there's a lot of play to improve on emotion side of things as well. And great names, some great names there. Yeah, so the way I see this as is that I think a lot of this is research. And the challenge with research is that right now, at least in India, the amount of money spent on research, money available for research, and the ecosystem is still growing and at a very niche stage. So sometimes being people from India, when we want to hit globally, these are some limitations that happen. However, I think we've also parked ourselves in the US. We're building a very large US GTM, in fact, US first GTM. We're also sort of engaging with top universities and talent and research people that side. We're also investing heavily on voice researchers, which is a very large play today in the globe. So I think the answer is that I'm glad that you have expectations, so there's something that we're doing right. I don't see voice to voices far, and I feel that in the next year or so, voice to voice models will improve heavily, and this whole switching over, right, from speech to text, then text to speech, and that context losing and everything else will go away. And I think that's the biggest element that will come in and change what you really want as an experience, right? So I think it's not far, and we are also in beta on that side. We're also testing and building and so on and so forth. But you have to understand, apart from research, it takes a lot of data and qualitative data to be able to do what you're asking for.
Yes.
And then there is a large amount of human training required on top of it
Yes.
to be able to deliver.
And the biggest
this-
challenge of re-ranking the
Absolutely.
entire context.
Absolutely. So it's both a time consuming, a lot of patience, and a costly affair as well. So yeah, I think the outcomes are going to be very close, and in the next year we'll see a lot of cool things come out. But I think that's your solution to the problem that you really have.
Yes. Do you see open source as a solution to this problem? Making all the developments in voice agentic AI phase open source.
Yeah, so I am a firm believer of open source. In fact, like when people say we are building our own models, they're actually using base level. No one builds a model from zero. They
Yes.
inherit a model and then they work on that model to tweak and build and sort of modernize the model in the way they want. So from that outcome, I'm a firm believer of open source, and I think more and more open source will only aid to the ecosystem and to fast track the innovation that is really required to
Yes,
actually
it
do
is.
what we need to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Cheers.
so much for that.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, very insightful session, thank you for that. Aditya here from Hyperverge. So when you were talking about adoption, right, and you gave an example of revenue versus cost being a factor, and when you were giving some use cases, you mentioned onboarding and collections, which are for BFSI mostly bottom line optimization and not something which is revenue generating for them. Would love to understand more on those use cases as well.
Yeah, so if I have got your question correctly, you are trying to ask that what are the revenue use cases that
Yes.
can be picked up in BFSI?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that the question? Or you
Yes.
want differentiation between onboarding and collections?
No, I understand onboarding and collections.
Yeah.
I wanted to understand the current use cases that are seeing some traction, right? Are they cost optimization for BFSI or are they revenue uptick for them?
So see, as Apoorv also said rightly, that there are contact centers that are already present, right? So what banks, BFSI, overall fintechs, insurtech or insurance are trying to do is that they are trying to cut down on the contact center cost, right? That is for sure, that is there. But it's not just the cost cutting angle there, right? It is majorly that how I am able to serve my customer better and add more customer to my funnel, right? So what I have been having a conversation with a lot of BFSI is that, is there a way I can get the low hanging fruits first, as in the customers who are already in my funnel, which are high intent customer, can I convert them easily? Is there a way? Because I have a bottleneck of contact center, and it is a reactive approach as well, because people, when they drop off, then my contact center contacts. Is there a way I can do something about it, right? So there is an opportunity there. The second opportunity is from revenue perspective. It is cross sell, upsell while customer is now activated, right? After activation, can you basically go and understand, talk to that customer? Is there a credit card that you need? Is there a home loan that you need? Is there a insurance that you need, right? So that is an upselling, cross-selling that is happening. I think these are the two revenue generating aspects that I have seen. Mostly what banks don't prefer is they don't try to like cold call overall, because that mostly I have not seen yet. But and what I believe in, and as a org, what we do is that we don't do cold calls. Because what we believe is there's soon going to be a lot of AI calls that are going to happen, and people are going to, like, the connectivities are going to drop, right? So I think these are the two use cases. overall.
One quick one before we. So, to you, think of this, right? Today, a lot of people don't have a credit score. So you can't pretty much avail a lot of financial products, right? And one of the largest reason is that probably somebody doesn't have a credit card, somebody doesn't have anything else, right? Now his point on a banking use case, imagine you could actually cross-sell, upsell services in order to get your credit score right, and then use that to actually do lending pieces and some of those sort of things. All of this is actually possible. How do you sort of work backwards to actually get into the credit scoring and other, so that larger people are in that cycle and are on coverage, and people don't have to take unstructured and sort of regulated kind of role. And it's a big problem in the smaller towns and places where people take loans from goons, and then a lot of other issues and so on. So a lot of ways in which actually inclusivity can come in by doing some of the very cool things on cross-sell, upsell and some of those places.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
everyone.
Let's have all of you please stay back. We have a token of appreciation from AI Sensi. We have Beer, who's going to be walking up to you guys. So thank you so much for enriching your knowledge towards this. Well, this was an insightful session. Let's have a big, big round of applause to our moderator, Manvisha, from Head of Brand from HomeLane. And yes, to our wonderful two panelists, Ashutosh Singh from Revrag AI and Apoorv Sood from Smallest.ai. Thank you so much, and we'll all have a group picture together. I request all of you guys to please stand along. Yes, we have some amazing goodies coming up to all the three of you. Please look at the camera because we're going to be capturing this lovely candid moment. Let's have a big, big round of applause from the audience. Put your hands together, everybody. Well, this was quite an interesting session for all of us.